So in the last video lecture we had seen that how to solve a concurrent force system and what is the equilibrium of a concurrent force system. In this lecture we'll be starting with the equilibrium of non-concurrent forces. So the basic conditions of equilibrium, they remain the same, that is summation fx, summation fy and summation m equals to 0. Okay, so these three conditions of equilibrium, they are universal for all the equilibrium cases. But what I want to do is I want to establish certain more conditions. I already know that summation fx, summation fy and summation m is 0. This is one set of conditions of equilibrium. Okay, but I want to establish some more. So let us see how we can do that. First we can see here summation fx and summation fy is 0. These two conditions itself means that we are saying that the resultant of this entire system is going to be 0, right? So the resultant of this entire system is 0. The third condition is summation m is equal to 0. Okay. These are true for all the cases of equilibrium. But now let us consider, since I want to establish certain new conditions, new sets of rules for equilibrium, let us consider for now that this resultant is not equal to 0. That is, resultant is not equal to 0. Okay. But there is no rotation of the body. Okay, so what we are considering, what we are assuming first is that resultant is not equal to 0, but we are also assuming that the body does not rotate. So it has equilibrium in one of the conditions here, that is summation m equals to 0. When I say summation m equals to 0, I mean that on all the particles of this body there has to be no rotational effect, there has to be no rotational force. It means the summation of moments on all points on the body is 0. So first let me take this point A and let us say that summation of moment at A is equal to 0, because we know that on all particles or all points it is going to be 0. So why not start with A? So when I say that A, summation of moment at A is 0, and I also know that my resultant is not equal to 0, therefore it means that my resultant has to compulsorily pass through A. See, the reason being that if this is the point A and I know that summation of moment at here is 0, and if resultant does not pass through that point, it means that my resultant is now making a certain distance from point A. So R into D is going to be a moment that would be acting at point A, which goes against this point, that summation m A equals to 0, right? So we cannot have such thing. Therefore compulsorily my resultant has to pass through point A, that is, it should not make any distance with respect to point A. Similarly, now if I consider that summation of moment at point B is equal to 0, I can say that my resultant again now it has to compulsorily pass through B, otherwise the summation of moment at B cannot be equal to 0. So what we can do, we compulsorily pass our resultant through both the points A and B. Now third thing, I say that okay, now my summation of moment at C also has to be equal to 0, right? So I say summation MC is 0. Now compulsorily my resultant has to pass through C also. But just think for a moment that how it is possible for this resultant to pass through A, B and C simultaneously. It is impossible for the resultant to pass through all these three non-collinear points together, right? If C was collinear with A, B and C, then definitely we could have said that okay, the resultant passes through C, but C is non-collinear, and therefore it means that for sure our resultant cannot pass through C, therefore the resultant has to be equal to 0. Compulsorily the resultant has to be equal to 0, because it cannot pass through A, B and C. Therefore there has to be no resultant at all for moment at A, B and C to be equal to 0. Okay. So what we established here is that if I establish that there are three non-collinear points, and if I prove that the summation of moment at these three non-collinear points is equal to 0, I automatically prove that the resultant of the entire system is 0, and then I can further say that my system is under equilibrium, because if I prove that summation of moment at A, B and C equals to 0, I am already proving that summation m equals to 0. This is one of the condition of equilibrium, right? This I am already proving. And if I prove that summation m is 0 at a, b and c, I am also proving that r is equal to 0. This means that summation fx, summation fy is equal to 0. So these two conditions are also satisfying, this is also satisfying, which means our entire system is under equilibrium. So this is the second set of condition of equilibrium that we have learnt now, that summation of moment at any three non-collinear points has to be equal to 0, right? Then we can say that the entire system has attained an equilibrium. So these are the two sets of conditions of equilibrium that we know till now. Summation fx equals to 0, summation fy equals to 0, and summation m equals to 0. This is first set. Second is summation of moment at any three non-collinear points to be equal to 0. This is the second set of condition of equilibrium. So either of them you can use in your numericals. If you have three non-collinear points, then you can definitely use the second set of condition also. But yes, if you have if you are proving it only on collinear points, then you cannot say definitely that the resultant is 0. Okay, so it has to be non-collinear points here. Okay, let us just solve a quick example. How much weight can a tower crane under equilibrium carry on its jib? This is called as jib. So this is called as a jib, and there is a weight that is the tower crane is carrying. So you might have seen this tower crane, it is used in the construction purpose. The operator sits somewhere here in between. So what it is saying is that it has a weight of W, which is at a distance of 20 meters. Now this weight of W that the tower crane is lifting up, this weight can cause instability of the tower crane. What kind of instability it can cause? It can cause a rotational instability, because you see this W into 20, it can cause a moment of W into 20, right? So this is the rotational instability that can happen, and this tower crane can lose its equilibrium. So to maintain that equilibrium, we have something called as counterweight here. Just behind the operator's cabin, we have this counterweight. It is quite heavy weight at a short distance. So it is at a distance of 5 meters in our case, and the weight is 5 tons. Okay, so this 5 tons into 5 is going to cause an counterclockwise movement, that is anti-clockwise movement, which will balance the clockwise movement, and thus the entire crane will be under equilibrium. So the only condition of equilibrium that we need to satisfy here is summation m at base to be equal to 0, because summation fx and summation fy will be equal to 0, since the foundation of the tower crane is firmly attached and it does not allow movement in x and y direction. The only thing that could cause the instability is generally the rotational moment. So summation of moment at base is equal to 0. Therefore we can easily write the equation for equilibrium of moment, which is 5 into 5, that is 5 tons into 5, which is anti-clockwise, therefore it's positive, minus W into 20, which is clockwise, therefore it's negative, is equal to 0. So from this we can get that how much weight the tower crane can carry. W is 1.25 tons, right? Let us solve one more numerical. A hollow right circular cylinder of diameter 1600 mm is open at both ends and rests on smooth horizontal plane. A sphere of radius 600 mm weighing 3 kN is first put in the cylinder. So this is your 3 kN cylinder, 3 kN sphere I would say, and then we have this 1 kN sphere. Neglecting the friction, find minimum weight of hollow cylinder that it will not tip over. So what we need to find is, see, the scenario that is happening here is, consider that you are going for a shopping and you have a bag with you, shopping bag with you. You purchase a lot of things, okay, you keep on putting it in the shopping bag, and just imagine that at the end after you have purchased a lot of things, you purchase a big watermelon and you keep it somewhere here. So what will happen is, when you keep this shopping bag anywhere down, the shopping bag will just tip over, or it will just fall over on the left side, right? Why it is happening is because this watermelon is trying to push the walls of the shopping bag. The shopping bag is also trying to give it an equal and opposite reaction, but sometimes if it cannot this height at which the force is acting, the pushing force is acting, if that is too much from the bottom point of the shopping bag, then it can definitely cause a moment here and tip over, right? So the same thing is happening in our scenario as well. We have two spheres which are there in a cylinder. The cylinder is 1600 mm and the spheres are 3 kilonewton and 1 kilonewton, each having a radius of 600 and 400 respectively. So this 400 mm sphere is actually trying to put a force on the wall of the cylinder. This force, and there is also a force here put by this cylinder. This force multiplied by the distance is actually causing the unbalanced moment, or it is trying to tip over the cylinder. What we need to find is the minimum weight of the cylinder. This weight of the cylinder will be acting somewhere in between at the centroid of the cylinder. So this is the weight of the cylinder. Okay, this weight would act as a counter, as a clockwise moment, and this tipping moment is anti-clockwise, right? So this weight and this moment produced by this force, it is also clockwise. So that has to overcome the moment produced by this force. Only then the cylinder is not going to tip over. By tipping over, I mean that it just goes like this. So this is the force that is causing this moment. This is the force which will cause a moment in the clockwise direction, and the weight of the cylinder is going to cause movement in clockwise direction, right? Now we need to find the minimum weight. Minimum weight means that it is absolutely the minimum one, where this point B, the cylinder just starts to tipping, but it does not tip over exactly. Means the cylinder just starts tilting, but it maintains its equilibrium there itself. So when it just starts tilting, this point will lift from the ground and there will not be any reaction at that point. Okay, so that is the case where we can find the minimum weight required of the cylinder, which will prevent the tipping over of the cylinder. Okay, so now we understand what we have to do. We have to do the summation of moment at A equals to 0. But before that, we also need to understand that how much force is being put by these spheres on the cylinder. So that we will find using our normal procedure, that is, this is the reaction that is there given by the vertical wall of the cylinder. This reaction RBA, then we have this reaction RAB, reaction RAH and RAV given by the bottom surface. Okay. Same, now this reaction will get converted into a force here, which is basically pushing your cylinder. This reaction again gets converted into a force, and then we have the weight of the cylinder itself. RAV is not in contact with the cylinder. Okay, just read the question properly. The hollow right circular cylinder is open at both ends. So it is open from top also and it is open from bottom also. So this RAV is actually not touching the cylinder, it is touching the bottom surface. Okay, so that will not come in the, or that force is not going to contribute into the equilibrium of the entire system. Alright, now the only thing left is to find this RBH and RAH and all these reactions. Now we have solved this kind of numerical before also. The top cylinder, the top sphere, this we can find using the Lame's theorem. But in this numerical, we are going to use a little bit different approach. A different approach of finding the reactions basically. So let us see what we have to do. Considering the equilibrium of sphere, okay, what I will do is I will consider the equilibrium of the spheres now. See, there are two systems here. First is there is this cylinder, and then there are these spheres. For the equilibrium of the entire system, the cylinder also should be under equilibrium, the sphere should also be under equilibrium, right? So the equilibrium of the cylinder, this we are considering later on when we are finding the tipping thing, when we take the summation of moment at this point. But equilibrium of spheres will help you in finding this RBH and RAH, okay? And the same conditions of equilibrium apply here as well. But before that, let us find these angles, because we would be requiring these angles. So EF, we can understand it is 1600 minus 400 here. It is 400 at this point and 600 at this point. So 1600 minus 400 minus 600, it is 600 mm, okay? And then we have CE, which is you will get by finding this alpha. Alpha we can find because EF I know and this CF I know. So alpha is 53.1301 and CE you will find as 1000 sine of this thing, because see, sine alpha is CE upon the hypotenuse. So how 1000 into sine alpha will give you CE 800. Okay. The conditions of equilibrium are known at horizontal force. So summation Fx equals to 0. RBH is acting in the right direction, minus RAH equals to 0. So RBH is equal to RAH. This is one thing that we ascertain from here. Second is known net vertical force. So summation Fy equals to 0. We can get minus 1 minus 3 plus RAV equals to 0, because minus 1, since it is acting in the downward direction and RAV is acting in the upward direction. So RAV I directly get as 4 kilonewton. Okay. Now, third is we need to take moment, summation of moment at some point equal to 0. So which point to select, that is the question now. You can, because see, we are taking the equilibrium of both the spheres, so you can select any point on this sphere. Okay, any point on the sphere you can select to choose summation of moment at that point to be equal to 0. But you should very carefully select the point, and you should select such a point which will eliminate most of the forces. So see, if I take this C point, then RBH and moment due to 1 will get eliminated, because there won't be any moment due to RBH and 1. But if I take the summation of moment at F, then 3 RAV and RAH, these three forces are going to get eliminated. So summation of moment at F is the most logical one, and we take moment at that point equals to 0. So now here we will be using these distances that we found, or CE and EF. You see RBH into CE, or negative RBH into CE, because it is going to cause a clockwise moment, minus RBH into CE plus 1 into EF. That has to be equal to 0. So CE and EF I already know. I can find RBH. Once I find RBH, RBH is equal to RAH. So RAH also I find, right? Now, after finding RBH and RAH, we understand that these reactions itself are going to cause the force which is going to tip, or which is going to tilt your cylinder. But before that, you also need to know that at what distance these forces are acting. So how to find that? See, RBH will be acting, this is 600 mm plus CE, which is 800, so 600 plus 800 is 1400, and RAH is acting at 600 mm, and RAV is as it is. We do not require it in the summation of cylinder, in the equilibrium of cylinder, right? Now considering the equilibrium of cylinder, I will take summation of moment at A equal to 0. Remember, there won't be any reaction at point B because the point B is slightly lifted from the ground, because we are finding the minimum weight required, and minimum weight required will be found only for that criteria when when there is just start of the tipping over, but the entire system gets controlled or entire system attains equilibrium, like that. Okay, so where all the reactions would be there, let us see that. First of all, this RBH is the force which is pushing, this RAH is also a force which is pushing. Then there will be a reaction here at A, RA I would say, but this reaction is not going to come into the moment equation because we are taking moment at the same point, right? So when I do summation of ME equals to 0, I will get RBH into 1400, which is positive since it's anti-clockwise, then RAH into 600, which is clockwise, and W into 1600 by 2, which is again clockwise, minus W into 1600 by 2. So from here I know RBH, I know RAH, I can find W. So W, I get RBH and RAH both as 0.75, right? So 0.75 kilonewton is the weight that would be the minimum weight that is required to just stop the tipping over of the cylinder.